Hello everybody and welcome on today's video. Today I would like to talk to you about this juniper. There are a few things that I need to do, like getting the wires off and then pruning the tips back in order to have some back budding to fill the foliage pads next year. So let's bring the camera in a little closer. So as you can see, every little branch on this tree, well almost, has been wired, and the wire is still not cutting into the wood. So I'm quite sure that there's no harm done. So most of the wire can maybe be kept on this tree, but I will have to have a close look. And when you are wiring or unwiring a tree, it's not necessary to get all the wire off in one take. But if you really don't want the risk of having wire cutting in, well, you can always get it off and rewire it later. So I think that's what I'm gonna do. And if I have to wire this tree again in the autumn, well, that's no problem, because wiring is something that I like to do. You see, this is the growth of this year. It is a good growth. It is quite healthy. The tree has been doing very well. So a little cutback on the tips is necessary in order to obtain some back budding here to fill the foliage pads. So let's have a look at the back of this tree. This is a grafted tree. It is an air layer of the parent tree. So, and I put it. I don't know if you can see it because it's really difficult to see. But I replaced the raffia that I turned around with one screw about a month ago, and I see that the trees are starting to fuse now. Of course, it is too early to get this part off. I'm going to leave it for a year or maybe two, because, well, it doesn't do any harm there, and it's almost invisible. But this just gives me the two branches that I need here to fill up the back space. Now, the strange thing about these grafts, you see the tips of these new branches are light green and quite healthy, but when you compare this to the other pieces of foliage, like this one, for example, you see that this part is much greener, much healthier, that it has much more vigor. So it means that this is still not doing quite okay. So it is definitely necessary to leave it like it is another year or two. So I'm going to start unwiring, which is even more boring than wiring a tree to look at. And before I start, I'm going to cover the surface with two little towels in order to avoid getting too much pieces of wire or falling needles on the surface, because, well, otherwise you will have to get them out with tweezers, which is not such an interesting work. So let's start. So the wire is off, and now there are a few things we must take in consideration before we start cutting everything. So first thing, when we look at the overall silhouette of the tree, we notice that, well, the top grew more than the bottom parts, which is a natural reaction of the tree. And We also notice the same thing when we look at the back of the tree. This should grow more, this should grow more a little, and this should be trimmed back a little. So that's one first thing. So now we must have a look at how the foliage pads are starting to fill. This part is the crown, and as you can see it's already nicely full, except for this middle part. So in this case we just need to take the new growth and cut back, always leaving some of the new growth. So you want to cut back into the green part, not the woody part. This is the woody part, and from here it's starting to become green, so you must always try to cut back into the green part. This particular spot is important to cut off because this is what they call juvenile foliage, and it's best to get rid of that as much as possible. So this is an extremely long shoot. It's healthy, so just cut back. So trimming back severely the parts that are doing well. This branch is a completely different story because, well, we have some backbudding here, which is not very interesting because it's on the bottom, so, well, don't want that. And here you see that there is some green on the branches, but really not a lot. And we really want this branch to grow more vigorously, so we just take back the tips that grow straight up, and cut back just a little. So obviously this part of the tree will not be finished this season. Again, some juvenile foliage. And then of course we have a middle size grown branch like this one. When you see we have already nice green emerging on the top. So here we can definitely cut back some more at the ends, and let the inner part grow, so they will form these nice little foliage pads. And well, maybe they are lifting, they are too high. We should pull them down, but that is something you can easily do with a guy wire. So taking these things in consideration, I'm going to trim this tree. So this is the day after, and as you can see, the tree is being trimmed now. This is the foliage that I took off. It's not too much, and you should never take too much of a juniper because, well, they really rely on their foliage. So now the last thing I want to do is get some wire on the tree. For example, this branch would be nicer if it was a little lower, and this one should be a little more like so, and all these little details. And this branch has a little mark here of previous wiring from a year or so ago, and you might think that this is a good idea to wire in the other direction then, but it really is not, because if you wire and you have cutting in the other direction, well, probably the branch will die. And anyway, I need to wire this way, so like this around the branch, because I want the branch to do this. So that's how I need to tighten it. So I'm going to put some raffia around this to protect that, because it's really an important branch. Now, because I want to flip this branch a little this way, I need to put the wire like so. Okay. So the work is done now, and if you have a little look at the towel that I put on the surface, well, I guess it's quite obvious why it is a good idea to put a towel on these things. So this concludes the work on this juniper. It has been trimmed, wired a little. Small twigs will be wired later in August maybe, or in September, and cleaned up the pot a little. So that's what we have now, and we'll finish with a little 360. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.